Ticket prices just jumped 70% overnight, and the stadium still completely sold out. That's not a typo, that's Alex Eala, and she hasn't even walked onto the court yet. Right now, Cincinnati is in full-blown chaos. The $260 million Lindner Family Tennis Center, a venue that has hosted Federer, Nadal, and Serena Williams, is watching history happen in real time. A 21-year-old from the Philippines is single-handedly rewriting the economics of professional tennis, and the numbers are wild. Let me set the scene properly. Before her name even appeared on the entry list, the Cincinnati Open was already riding serious momentum. Tournament director Bob Moran had watched attendance hit a record-breaking 285,000 fans in 2025, with 70% of them traveling from outside Cincinnati. He was projecting 300,000 for 2026, confident, optimistic, and ready for another strong year. The newly renovated campus had been designed to handle bigger crowds, bigger moments, and bigger expectations. Then Alex Eala entered the draw. Before 6 a.m., 3 hours before staff even arrived, the ticketing system was already overwhelmed. Organizers were scrambling by 9 a.m. just to stop the servers from collapsing. The deluge was unlike anything this tournament had ever seen. Requests poured in from across the United States and beyond. The system that had handled legends for years buckled under the weight of one name, so Cincinnati did something that stunned the tennis world. They raised ticket prices sharply, from $275 all the way to $470, a 70% spike overnight, and every single seat still sold out. On the resale market, it got even crazier. Second-round tickets were flipping anywhere between $86 and $685. Upper-level seats were triple digits minimum. Even grandstand spots, normally the budget option, were flying off the secondary platforms. The demand wasn't slowing, it was accelerating. People who had planned quiet midweek sessions suddenly found themselves competing with fans who had already decided this was a must-see event. But to understand why this is so extraordinary, you need to understand who is actually buying these tickets. The Filipino diaspora, roughly 12 million people scattered across the globe, has found their hero. Many of them left home for better opportunities. They work long hours in foreign cities, sending money back to families they rarely see. They build lives in places where the weather, the food, and the language are different from what they grew up with. And yet when Alex Eala plays, they show up in force. Flags in hand, chanting like it's a basketball arena, not a tennis stadium. The energy is loud, emotional, and unapologetic. People were screaming like in a basketball match, said Filta executive director Tanet Mendoza, describing Eala's Australian Open appearance earlier this year. And the kicker, she added that some of those fans had never watched a single tennis match in their lives before that day. Not one. They came for Eala. They came for something bigger than the sport itself. They came because a young woman from Quezon City had given them a reason to gather, to cheer, and to feel represented on a stage that had never before felt like theirs. Sports reporter Colin Salo covered Cincinnati and shared two fan stories that stopped people in their tracks. The first, a group of college friends, now living in different states across the U.S., planned their entire annual reunion around traveling to Ohio to watch Eala play. Not a vacation, a pilgrimage. They coordinated flights, carpools, and schedules months in advance because missing her matches was not an option. The second story is even more striking. One fan attended Eala's matches in Toronto at the National Bank Open, then turned around and drove 8 straight hours to Cincinnati to watch her again. Not a flight. 8 hours behind the wheel, through the night, because missing a single match felt unacceptable. The Philippine star put it plainly, Filipino migrants are giving up a lot to afford these tickets. They think nothing of what they had to give up for the chance to cheer their athlete. This isn't ordinary ticket demand. This is devotion measured in long drives, shared hotel rooms, and carefully budgeted paychecks. It is the kind of support that turns a midweek session into a cultural event. And the sport's biggest stars are paying attention. Coco Gauff, world number 4 and a major figure in American tennis, spoke openly about what Eala represents. "I like that Alex brings a whole new demographic to the WTA Tour," Gauff said. That new demographic is a global community willing to pay $470 for a center court seat, drive 8 hours through the night, and turn a tennis tournament into a national celebration. It is a demographic that does not wait for a Grand Slam final or a top 5 ranking. It shows up because the player is theirs. The Eala Effect was already documented across multiple cities before Cincinnati. In Washington, 80% of ticket requests were traced directly to her fan base. Tournament organizers there watched demand spike the moment her name appeared in the draw. In Toronto, organizers had to pull her off the smaller grandstand and move her to center court because 2,800 seats could not hold her crowd. She had likely sold upward of 5,000 tickets entirely on her own. The full 12,500-seat Sobeys Stadium filled every single night she played. Filipino flags covered entire sections. A superfan dressed as a dinosaur went viral and became part of the visual language of the week. Jessica Pegula admitted the Washington final felt like playing on Eala's home soil. Belinda Bencic, after ending Eala's run in Toronto, compared the atmosphere to playing against Serena Williams, a comparison that carries real weight coming from a player of her experience. Now Cincinnati was getting the same treatment. Bob Moran, a man who has watched legends compete at this venue for years, was by his own admission genuinely stunned. Nothing in his career had prepared him for this. Not a Grand Slam champion walking into the draw. Not a retirement tour. Not a rivalry final. A 21-year-old from Manila, ranked 20th in the world, had broken his ticketing system before sunrise. He has seen Federer, Nadal, and Serena Williams pack the stands. He has overseen expansions, renovations, and record attendance figures. And still this felt different. As one industry analyst put it bluntly, Eala no longer needs a title to command attention. She has changed the economics of attention itself. The tournaments want her in the building whether she wins or loses. Her box office value has fully separated from her results. That is almost unprecedented in professional tennis. Most players need deep runs or major titles to move the needle on secondary markets and hotel bookings. Eala moves the needle simply by appearing on the entry list. This is the part that should make every executive in the sport sit up straight. What Alex Eala has built isn't a conventional fan base. It's a movement, a community that creates a virtual homeland wherever Filipino fans gather to watch her play. Miami, New York, Melbourne, Dubai, London, Cincinnati. They arrive with flags, signs, chants, and matching shirts. They fill seats that were empty the year before. They turn quiet afternoon sessions into electric standing room events that feel nothing like traditional tennis. The noise is constant. The emotion is visible. The investment is personal. And the Lindner Family Tennis Center, Ben Navarro's $260 million vision for what tennis could become, was built for exactly this kind of moment. The 2,300-seat sunken Champions Court, the 31 outdoor courts, the 56,000-square-foot player clubhouse, the nearly 19,900 fixed seats and 101 video boards, the 16,000-square-foot shaded fan pavilion. Navarro covered roughly half the renovation himself. Local governments covered the rest. The ribbon was cut in August 2025 with Jannik Sinner, Andre Agassi, and Steffi Graf in attendance. It was built to blow people away, to signal that Cincinnati was serious about being a destination event on the WTA calendar. Then Alex Eala showed up and proved the whole thing was worth every penny. The merchandise tent alone expanded by 18,000 square feet. Revenue from merchandise has doubled since 2023. The tournament was already projected to surpass 300,000 attendees in 2026 and that projection was made before her name was even on the entry list. Eala herself, just by entering the tournament, pocketed $26,255. A deeper run would push that figure higher. But the tournament itself was making far more than that, just from tickets, secondary spending, and the sheer volume of people who decided this was the week they needed to be in Ohio. And she said it simply, in that gracious way she always does. It's an amazing experience. It's nice to see that the Filipino community is really showing up and enjoying tennis. Hopefully, it will help grow the sport and give them something new and joyful. Then she switched to Tagalog and spoke directly to her people. The crowd lost it. The moment captured everything about the relationship she has built, one that treats the support as shared rather than transactional. Here is what tennis has never seen before. A player whose draw power doesn't depend on her ranking, her results, or her trophies. A player who sells out stadiums at 6 a.m. before a single ball is struck. A player who makes tournament directors question everything they thought they knew about sports economics. The old model assumed that star power followed titles and rankings. Eala is forcing a new calculation. Star power can also follow identity, representation, and the simple fact that a community has decided this player belongs to them. "I've come far," Eala said, "but I still have farther to go." That sentence carries more weight when you place it against the numbers. Less than 2 years ago, she was ranked outside the top 140, accepting wild cards and grinding through qualifying. In Washington, she captured her first WTA title and bageled a top player in the final. In Toronto, she generated the kind of atmosphere that forced court changes and drew comparisons to Serena. In Cincinnati, she crashed the ticketing system and triggered a 70% overnight price increase that still sold out. The trajectory is not gradual, it is compressed. Cincinnati was just the latest chapter. The US Open is next, a tournament with a far larger Filipino-American population in the New York tri-state area, and a stage that can amplify everything that has already happened. Then Singapore. Then the Asian Games. The tennis world is still catching its breath. The Filipino community is just getting louder, and Alex Eala is only 21 years old. The real question isn't whether the Eala effect is real. The numbers answered that before 6 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in Ohio. The real question is whether the tennis establishment is ready for what comes next. Are tournaments prepared to treat this kind of demand as a permanent feature rather than a temporary spike? Will they invest in the infrastructure, the scheduling, and the fan experience that a community of this size and passion deserves? Or will they continue to be surprised every time the servers crash before sunrise? There is also a more uncomfortable conversation happening in comment sections and group chats. When prices jump 70% overnight and still sell out, who gets priced out? The same diaspora fans who are driving the demand are often the ones working the longest hours and stretching the tightest budgets. The devotion is real. The economic strain is also real. That tension is part of the story now, and it will only grow as Eala's profile continues to rise. If this story hit different, drop a comment below. Should tournaments raise prices when Eala plays, or does that risk pricing out the very fans making this possible? That debate is real, and we want to hear your take. Like and subscribe for more stories where sports, money, and community collide in ways nobody saw coming. The servers crashed before 6 a.m. The prices went up, the seats still sold out, and the player at the center of it all has not yet hit a ball in Cincinnati. That is the Eala effect in its purest form. Tennis Diaries, where the ones who saw the ticket prices jump stay until the next gate opens.